Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed.
Like some good clips from elsewhere where I can be funny about things and put in front, and then the intro rolls. I don't know. Hey everyone, welcome to the Cantina here on the Genreverse Podcast Network and YouTube channel. Please do follow, subscribe on those platforms respectively, and check out lrmonline.com every day for all entertainment news, needs, and opinions. And the screens are already bothering me this morning. Sorry. I'm Kyle at that Kyle Malone on Twitter. That's Cam at LRM_Cam on Twitter. And there's a whole bunch of really great things. We've got a Discord channel, our Discord server with lots of channels in it. You guys can check that out. There's a link in the description box below, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on your favorite podcast app that you just followed us on. So come join conversations there. I guess that's all the housekeeping stuff
probably worth mentioning that we weren't there last week, and the show's going to be out late this week because we were kind of waiting on D23 happening.
Waiting on D23.
Yep. We're recording this after that, so that's kind of why we held back a little bit this week.
Yeah. Thanks, Cam. So D23. Overall, I must say, meh. Overall, from Disney Animation and Pixar to the live action stuff to literally all of it for me, overall, meh. Few interesting things come out of Marvel, not necessarily exciting, and interesting is the word I would use. And then Star Wars, which is what we talk here. A couple of good things, a couple things that I really just didn't care about, and then one thing I really, really, really don't care about. But what did you think overall of D23 this year?
I thought the Marvel stuff was okay. They gave us, it wasn't like SDCC where it was like announcement.
Yeah.
I don't think after that being so big, they were ever going to do that again. What they did do is they filled a couple of gaps. Some gaps we knew were getting filled anyway, like Werewolf by Night. Everyone knew it was coming this Halloween, even though, but at least now it's officially announced.
Yeah.
But,
Matt Shackman directing and
okay.
tested for.
From a Star Wars point of view, I guess when you think about it, what else is there
exactly
to talk about? They don't have enough going. So we've got Mando Season 3's in the can in terms of shooting, probably doing all the effects and everything like that just now. So we got a trailer for that, which was kind of just the same as the one that they showed at SDCC, if you've watched the leaked footage of that or you were there. Andor, we got a final trailer. That's the next one up. Makes perfect sense. Ahsoka, they did get a mini trailer at SDCC, but we didn't seem to get that here. It was just they talked about it and they showed some images and stuff like that. They spoke to Jude Law a little bit, the Skeleton Crew, but they've just started filming that. I think they've even still got some casting to finish off on that. So although that's kind of just hitting the ground, so there's nothing they could show us there. And as always, there's no news about the movies because we just don't know what's happening with that and when we're likely to see. I think it's Taika Waititi's movie that will be next. So that's the kind of current plan.
That's what they said. They felt it would be, but
when it will kick
knows?
off or anything like that. Yeah. So there was nothing else we were going to get, I don't think, from Star Wars on D23 for me. So I'm kind of wasn't expecting anything more. So I'm neither disappointed or happy. I'm just, I guess, meh is like you said, is it's just okay.
I would say it is. You okay, Kat? Sorry, my feline friend is with me right now. I would say that one part that was kind of disappointing instead of just meh, because like you said, you didn't really expect anything, but if D23 showed me anything about Star Wars, it's that there really isn't a whole lot going on. Like, in theory, there is. You have the 3 trailers they did show: Tales, Mando, Andor, all things coming in quick succession here. Andor this month. I think Tales was next month, October. I might be wrong, ladies and gentlemen. And then Mando early 23. Well, it just says 23, but we've heard, and it makes sense that it would be early 23. Yeah,
there's been a few leaked things have said February on them, so whether that sticks, but that's what everybody thinks just now.
But other than that, we know Ahsoka's out there, but we haven't really gotten anything. There was some footage shown at San Diego, or no, not San Diego. Where was the Ahsoka footage?
No,
shown?
It was SDCC. It was.
It was? Okay, so
was it? Wait a minute.
No, it's Star Wars. Star Wars never does
Star Wars
that.
Celebration. It was celebrated. They were quite close to each other, weren't they?
Yes.
And I'm getting all these conventions mixed up a little bit. So
and
the Mando trailer, the first Mando footage and the first Ahsoka trailer was Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
And that did leak online.
Yes.
You didn't watch them, though, did you?
No, I did not, because I was hoping to do reactions,
the official ones, yeah.
But I couldn't do the videos yesterday. Anyways, after that we have nothing about the Acolyte, but we have all sorts of promises. You know, they did mention Skeleton Crew, but all these promises, all these things, and there's not a lot. And that also came on top of the no games news, really, from the day
some
before.
Extra content for the Lego Skywalker saga. That was it, really, but nothing really new on any of the games.
And like you said, man, no movies. They don't even know which one is actually coming next. They say it's likely Taika's, but we know that he doesn't have any room until like 24.
He hasn't written that. It's not a completed script until we get to the point where they're ready to shoot. You just can't say exactly what's going to happen. So there'll be plans.
So that's the disappointing thing, man, is because then Marvel came up, and like you said, while they didn't announce anything really new, they filled in a bunch of gaps on a detailed thing going
we already
forward.
Have a plan for them for movies and shows, and there is some gaps missing.
So,
and it is just going to be a case of filling those gaps in. We probably won't get anything beyond Secret Wars, for example, until we get to that point. So, you know, we do have a plan for Marvel. We don't really have a plan for Star Wars outside Disney Plus. We do have a Disney Plus plan because we know what's coming. Mando, we've got Ahsoka, we've then got probably a Mando season 4 because I think they've talked about that as well. It looks like we're going to probably get an Ahsoka season 2. We've got Skeleton Crew, might be a one-off,
Acolyte.
might be more. We've got Acolyte, and we have... I'm missing something.
The rumored Lando show, the rumored
there's Lando,
Thrawn and Ezra-centric thing.
We had heard, it's probably worth
rumored,
where that comes from, because it came from us initially, that when we had heard there was all these shows coming, we heard there was a Boba Fett show and an Ahsoka show, which people already knew about at that point. Another mystery show, which we now think was Skeleton Crew, but we didn't know anything about it at the time. It was like really kind of hidden. Then we found out later about Rangers. I think that was a separate thing, and then that get canned. But they also did at the time say that our sources had said at the time there was an Ezra and Thrawn show coming. I wonder if that's still the same, though, or whether that could have changed. You know,
maybe.
It does feel as if that was. If you think about it, that was back in 2020. We did that.
a long time ago.
in a website far away. Yeah. So, you know, I think they're giving us as much as they've got planned, but I think the only thing that's missing for me is, because it's not to say they have no content coming, it's just unlike Marvel, they don't have the movies as well. That's the thing. We have the Disney Plus. We just don't quite have the movies backing it up.
And that's what Star Wars is known for, you know. So anyways, that's the only kind of disappointing thing, is it shows you kind of like how far out content is, how limited in scope it is to a degree with all of it being Mandalorian. Not that I'm against having this much Mandalorian content, just that it's a big galaxy. But there was good stuff to come out of it. For example, Cam, I know you didn't get a chance to watch it yet, being over there in Scotland, but we got a new Andor trailer.
There was one until we started.
Yeah, not really. Oh man, and I realized I was stuck on the wrong camera for a minute, guys. I'm sorry. Like, OBS plugins have still not updated for me to use my control for it, so I'm having to remember to click the buttons instead. But we've got the Andor trailer. We'll share this with Cam. So here in a second, he is going to freeze in an interesting face. All right, Cam, you're frozen, bud. Yeah, let's watch this Andor trailer.
Yeah, sure.
Spies. Saboteurs.
Wish they'd use that music more in the actual shows.
I know, right? I don't know if there's some sort of legal thing if they use John Williams' stuff himself, but why not just rework it?
Yeah, rewatch things and stuff. I saw that. Did you see they released that scene in its entirety?
Yes, I did. I did. It feels so textured, man. Like the practicality here. This is, guys, Star Wars, for the love of God, limit the volume. It is a cool tech, but limit it.
People will suffer.
Time has come to force our hand.
At what cost?
Everything.
To me, he seems like the General Garm Bel Iblis character from the EU.
Yeah.
For the greater good, call it what you will. Let's call it war.
It's nice to see him come back and be connected to it.
They're afraid. Right now, they're afraid. Star Wars Andor.
And then they ruin it with the classic trailer voice.
Star Wars Andor, it's coming soon. I've got a deep voice and I get paid lots of money for it.
They ruin it with that trailer voice. But dude, like,
I suppose it's better than something going, Andor's coming out.
just a little ding, like Disney Plus thing. It feels so tactile, man. I really like that.
I'm really looking forward to this show. It looks dynamic. It looks mature. It looks as if we're going to explore mature themes, like how far do you go as freedom fighters, and what are the costs involved in that. That you're going to get into some morally grey areas, I hope, which it kind of feels like adult Star Wars, which Rogue One teased a little bit adult Star Wars, but there wasn't enough character development in Rogue One to really say that. But this with the more scoping at the time they've got, it could be that. So definitely look forward to it. Looks a good, not much new footage there that we haven't already seen. Just different things in different orders. But yeah,
I like. I mentioned the EU character, Garm Bel Iblis, and it was him, Mon Mothma, and Bail, if I'm not mistaken, even in the EU, who were kind of like the core political figures of the early rebellion. And
Iblis was the more extreme one of.
He was the more
three,
extreme one, which you kind of felt like Saw Gerrera was kind of that character, but in Rogue One, because he's the one who's like, at all costs, but he was missing that kind of political aspect of it. It looks like maybe even they ripped those two halves of Garm apart, and now you're gonna have the one that's like willing to maybe politically order some stuff, but you've actually got the one doing the dirty work. It's going to be interesting to see those two. And what's cool is this is one of those times where Star Wars has the opportunity. We'll see how they take it. Has the opportunity to dive into that age-old question, you used the phrase freedom fighter. And in a legal sense, by international law, the difference between like an occupied insurgency versus, freedom fighter versus terrorism really comes down to one thing: the target and the purpose of the attack. If the targets are military government targets, official military government targets, that's considered kind of like insurgency, freedom fighting. That's not domestic terrorism. Attacking the civilian targets, inducing fear and trying to achieve your goals via that's legally terrorism. And that's one of the things that I hope they do explore here. It goes back to that conversation in Clerks about the construction workers on the Death Star. It goes to all sorts of real life questions, things that we've dealt with here in the real world. I'm excited about stuff like that. Like, that's the stuff that came from the EU. But man, do I not have a stone of fear settled in my stomach about Star Wars? You know what I'm saying? Even more
This
so
one,
about Marvel.
I don't so much with Andor, because there's no fear. That they kind of have freedom to tell this story. Mon Mothma's, I mean, all we need to know about Mon Mothma is that she ends up where she is at the start of Rogue One, and we can see where she goes from there. Is the character we meet in Return of the Jedi, which is basically leader of the rebellion, and then I'm going to assume, because they never talked about it in the sequel, she then goes on to become the Chancellor of the New Republic at some point. That's the way it always was in the EU. I don't know if they've actually put that in canon anymore or not. But
I think they did.
I don't know. Probably
remember.
did. So there's not a lot that you can really do to her story, because we don't know a lot about it. We don't know a lot about Andor, and all the other characters are kind of made up. So they just have that freedom to just tell a story, really, and not have to worry too much about, I don't think, the canon, to be honest. Given that this is still many years before A New Hope. So I've not really got a lot of fears on this one, like maybe I had with
Kenobi.
Some other shows. Yeah. Like Kenobi, but some other things as well. I've got fears about Ahsoka. Why?
God. Yes.
Because we're worried that they're going to start going fucking back in time, and it's going to turn into Back to the Future. Ahsoka, we've got to go back and save your kids.
And even if they close the loop and set it all right at the end, then you're sitting there like, well, what was the point?
Yeah, I mean, we're not saying they're going to do that, but it's just that's how Ahsoka was saved in Rebels. It was there, so it's canon, and it's the logo's got the kind of, hasn't it, the
design
the world
of the world
between worlds.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I
Big
don't know.
fears there.
We really don't. We know nothing about it though. So
nope.
It's just all guesswork and worry, but we hope it's good. Like we do. Oops, stripped my microphone out. So, but yeah, we always hope every Star Wars project's good, and we take each one as it comes, and we judge it, and we review them all, and we say the ones we like and the ones we don't, and we don't always agree.
And you guys will be able to find our Cantina reviews on Andor starting on the same day. So
I think we're getting 3 to begin with, aren't we, or something?
Yeah, like and She-Hulk will still be running. So I don't know what Thursdays are going to be like for me guys.
But Andor will be a Wednesday, will it not?
Oh yeah. You're right. So we're good. We're good. We're no, they said September 22nd on Andor, didn't they?
I can't use my phone because I'm using it to record to check.
I'll look it up for you guys. Andor release. Okay, no, 21st. We're good. We're good.
It's Wednesday, and then
we're fine.
She-Hulk on the first. That's good.
Okay, so let's segue into something slightly Ahsoka related, but we'll call it Ahsoka adjacent right now. No, it's
right.
It's pretty Ahsoka focused in a way. So, Tales of the Jedi cartoon. I have always disliked the animation style that Filoni uses. We heard about this while ago. There was Star Wars Celebration footage, stuff that was leaked, all sorts of stuff. I can't talk about it, Cam. I don't care. I don't like this stuff. What about you?
I mean, yeah, I don't love the animation style either. I never have. But I enjoyed the Clone Wars and I enjoyed the later seasons of Rebels. Because the stories were good that were being told. So I can kind of forgive any animation as long as the story's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Again, we'll just have to wait and see. Are these interesting stories that are worth telling? Like, they add something to the characters and what we know about them and their histories, or is this just another way of saying, "Oh, what? Let's do something where Qui-Gon and Dooku have an adventure together." You know, let's do something about Ahsoka when she was young. But you know, if they add more to the kind of overall lore of those characters, then it just depends. We'll judge it by each story because it's an anthology type thing, right? So it's going to be, you know, not necessarily connected to one another, but connected to different characters within the lore. So, yeah, so I wouldn't love the animation style, but I'll watch it and see what the stories are like themselves.
I think it's funny that from the looks of the trailer, we're going to get Yaddle fighting. That's interesting.
Right, so I'm just going to say I've read the leaks for Tales of the Jedi, so I'm going to just keep on any stuff like that.
But regardless, it's one of those, like I said, it's animation that I don't care for, and like you, there are animation styles that I don't like that I can get over for a good story, but that comes to strike two for this. It's prequel era, so I really don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know what the
I haven't loved
third strike would be,
Bad
but two's enough.
Yeah, it's been okay, but I haven't loved it, you know, but I'm kind of hopeful it'll improve as seasons go on as well. You know, I think sometimes these things take their time, but this could be a bit different because it's anthology and it's, you know, I guess we'll just have to wait and see it. It's whether we look at it at the end and go, those were well stories telling, or, you know, what was the point, you know, of even doing that? And that's where it'll come down to for me.
I'll have to wait on it because Shockey, Mike, our third, he's on every now and then. He is a fan of the animation and the era. And so I'll have to wait on you to tell me whether or not I should watch these.
Yeah, that's fine. You know, I'll watch it anyway. And so
I'll be knee deep in anime when this stuff hits. So because it's hitting in October, I think, if I recall correctly.
Yes.
October, November.
Yes. So the one worth mentioning as well that Bad Batch has been delayed till next year. I don't know if you saw that as well. So we're supposedly the rumored Bad Batch date was September 28th, so later this month. That's now been pushed back, and Tales of the Jedi's kind of come in its place. So
October
maybe
26th.
Something behind the scenes that's called delaying one, want to get finished quicker, no idea, but that's the way it is now. So
October 26th for Tales and January 4th right now for Bad Batch season 2. Hopefully they're good. I loved the anime one, and that's probably it's October. I've got at least 2, usually a hell of a lot more, but 2 guaranteed seasonals we're watching in October, which we'll be reviewing and reacting to here on the Genreverse. We've got AVR for reviews and AVR squared for anime reactions, so subscribe. We'll see how Tales shakes loose. Let's talk about the one everyone, of course, was excited to see. It was shown at Celebration, this time finally released to the general public. Mandalorian,
it's slightly
season 3.
Because I've watched them both.
Yes, you watched them both. So while some people watch it on the bottom of our screen, you talk about what was different, Cam, and what you think about Mando season 3.
It's necessarily that there was any different footage shown. I mean, again, it was a bit grainy, so I can't tell exactly. But it did seem as if things were in different orders. For example, when Bo-Katan says to Grogu, "You didn't think your dad was the only Mandalorian, did you?" That's at the very end of the SDCC. No, I've said it again.
Celebration.
SDCC. They weren't there. Stop saying it, Cal. Star Wars Celebration. You know, it was like at the very end of it, so it was kind of just after we see her almost sitting on her floor, and it made her seem more like the villainish antagonist of it. Whereas I think the way it's cut in this trailer doesn't necessarily make you think that, although there is some extra lines from her where she talks about, you know, you weren't there during the purge, you know, all that sort of stuff. So there is little extras in there than what we saw in the earlier footage. And it must look better as well, because one of the things they always say is sometimes why they don't let the real footage or the early footage out is because it doesn't, finished, you know, it won't stand up to millions of people watching it, whereas everybody just looking at it in the theatre won't notice that, you know, at a convention, so they can get away with it. I get that completely. So I mean, it looks good. It looks interesting. I don't have any worries or complaints about Mando. We kind of know where we are. We kind of know what to expect, and they have 95% of the time they've always delivered with Mando, so it's kind of like, let's just see where the story goes next. Any theories from you watching the...
No, I mean, we can see the scenes in there with a bunch of Mandalorians flying around. That was some early leaks that Mando Season 3 was filming. I think that was even back when Obi-Wan was still filming at the time, and there was...
We do know there's a lot of Mandalorians, and they were getting extras in.
Yeah,
play Mandalorians.
So it's kind of cool to see some of. It's kind of cool to see some of that, but I will say, a bit concerned because we know what the big fight on Book of Boba Fett looked like. And we know what all the big groups of like stormtroopers and big fights on Obi-Wan looked like, and they were really underwhelming. You know what I'm saying?
I get
you're supposed to have large forces going against each other, but because of COVID, filming restrictions.
Mando's never been quite tried to go to that scale, has it? So far?
Right. So I don't know what. It all depends on the scale. Exactly. So if it's, you know, if it's like 20, 30 some odd men,
premium show as well,
right? So. But if it's designed where the target could be well defended by 15, 20 Mandalorians, and you have 15, 20 Mandalorians on each side, I'm good. It's when you're trying to take a city with 20 people and a couple of Gamorreans. I don't. That scale did not work in Book of Boba Fett. That scale did not work at all.
But I think it was a lot. It was down to how it was put together, the choices that were made, and
I thought it was more production restrictions and issues.
I think the restrictions cause you to have to make a choice. Necessarily that they've always made the right one. Whether they would without those restrictions, it's hard to say. Mando Season 3 did have some restrictions, but not compared to Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, because it was kind of pushing towards the end of the period at that point, and everybody had kind of got a handle on it. So I'm not expecting quite the same level of issues with that, but I don't know. We'll judge it when it comes out. But so far, the trailers look good. It looks like epic enough, big enough. You know, sometimes we say it doesn't look big in the volume. You know, I think it looks small scale, but I never quite felt that in Mando so much, you know, because they have a lot of big open shots, Mando walking in the distance, and they blend it together a little bit better. And I think that's maybe been the first show to really use the volume. They just used they used it a bit more sparingly, and I think like the Book of Boba Fett, they just went, hey, volume, everything. You know, it almost felt like that a little bit on Obi-Wan as well from time to time.
Sad.
So let's hope Mando is once again an advert for how the volume should be used.
Yes. But let's also do more. Let's also do more Andor physical sets.
If we can, yeah. I mean, I don't know if cost is prohibitive to that, but yeah, I mean, Andor looks the best thing in Star Wars since The Last Jedi, which looked great, and before that was Rogue One, which also looked great, and there's a connection obviously between. So Can't say they will be great, but they'll look great.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk Ahsoka. Let's talk a little bit about what or what they showed, and then let's talk a little bit about casting.
Yeah. So, I mean, they didn't show any new footage as far as I know. I wasn't obviously at D23, but that's what I've read online. There was no actual new footage shown of Ahsoka beyond what we saw at Star Wars Celebration. I have watched that, but it was very small. It was like little just snippets here and there, very teaser kind of thing. But they did have some still images, and Dave Filoni did talk a little bit about Ahsoka, basically just how excited he was, all that sort of stuff. They what else did he talk? He talks about how cool it was to have lightsaber fights, with Ahsoka being obviously a lightsaber wielding character. That's something he's kind of maybe doing in live action for the first time. So I talked a little bit about that. Just really hyping it up. Some of the screen images we saw were really just like Ahsoka standing in certain poses, or we did see Sabine looking at a mural of the Ghost crew, like from Rebels, which is also a scene they showed in the footage back at Star Wars Celebration as well. It was kind of like the end shot. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't a lot, I don't think, to really discuss in terms of D23, in terms of Ahsoka. But prior to D23, they did announce, well, Lucasfilm didn't announce it, but what happened was kind of friend of our site, Jordan Mason, great work, by the way, Jordan, said, like, the day before all the trades that there was going to be a new that Ezra Bridger had been cast, and that he had a name, and then like a day later, because that had broke, the trades all kind of went, yeah, okay, that is who's playing Ezra Bridger. So it's official, even though they didn't make any kind of announcement at D23
even
about
though
it.
It's not official, it's official.
Yeah, it's official, because, Deadline, Hollywood Reporter are all saying that this has happened. Can you remind me the guy's name, because I don't have it in front of me?
Eman Esfandi. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing the last name.
We'll talk about the elephant in the room in a little bit, but before we kind of get to that, tell what do you think of Esfandi yourself in terms of the look compared to...
Looks like a grown-up Ezra Bridger. I mean... Yeah.
You ever seen him in anything? I've never seen him in anything, so I don't know what he's like as an actor.
I don't know. Was seen in King Richard, which is the biopic of the Serena and Venus Williams' father, played by Will Smith. And yeah, I don't, other than his looks, which who we're going to talk about later, also had a good look for it, but I didn't care for Rebels. And it's funny because everyone says the same thing. Well, you got to get to the good seasons, like they say about Clone Wars. And it's like, well, guys, it's like I tell Jammer about One Piece. If I have to slog through a bunch of bad stuff to get to good stuff, is it really worth it?
Well, it's not. It depends how much. It depends. You have to judge that yourself. It's like, for example, like when I read the Wheel of Time books, I didn't think the first two books were particularly that good, especially the first book. And I was kind of like, I don't really get what the fuss of this series is. I'm glad I went through that, because the story improves so much as the books go on, that now I feel that it was worth going through that to have that story in my head in its entirety. So I would say the same with both Rebels and Clone Wars, if it was my opinion. But, there are things that I'm not a super huge fan of. I just watched them casually in the background and kind of just paid attention to the most important parts. So, I think they can be taken or left, but hopefully they'll do enough job a good enough job with the likes of Ahsoka and other maybe shows that run about that story that that you won't have to have watched it to kind of understand what's going on. That they'll put that work in, because I think they do realise that Lucasfilm that not everybody who they want to watch the live action is going to have consumed all the animated stuff as well.
Yeah. And which is a shame because I'm definitely not against animation. As a matter of fact, I watch more animated stuff than anyone at LRM. I guarantee it. Between the ridiculous amount of anime that we watch, all of the adult oriented cartoons like a Bob's Burgers, a American Dad, Solar Opposites, all of that. I have no issue with kids animation either. I am a huge fan of Teen Titans Go, believe it or not. Amazing World of Gumball. Of course, yeah, that one's golden, and of course all the classics. I still love classic cartoons.
Well, Looney Tunes and stuff you talk.
That, and also like my
that.
generation's classics, so old Simpsons and things like that. So I'm not against animation in any way whatsoever. I just it's got to offer me something, and the Clone Wars didn't, because again it comes from an era that I don't like,
I think
and it comes from
I hate the prequels, so why would I want to watch more?
For Clone Wars is 100% that. And then of course I didn't care for the animation. So it could have been like there was nothing to at least get me started. I tried Rebels. I really did. I thought the animation was even worse than the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
I thought it was a huge step down. And then I didn't like the characters. I didn't like Ezra. I couldn't get into it. It was made for 10-year-olds, and I did not have a kid.
The first season was very much like that.
Yeah,
I really didn't like it, and I didn't watch it for a while. But actually, I think what you should do is just completely abandon season 1, just pretend it doesn't exist, and start at season 2, and you'll be like, you have to play catch up for a few episodes, but it starts to make more sense after a while. So you don't really need that first season. But anyway,
excuse me. So let's discuss Mena Masood. I'm sorry if I Masood.
Yeah. So I mean, cut a long story short, LRM were very much that we've been told Mena Masood was Ezra Bridger, and at the same time we said Lars Mikkelsen was Grand Admiral Thrawn. Mm-hmm. We didn't know at the time if it was, when we said it, if it was for Ahsoka or not. We always maintained that, but it's just cut a long story short. We got it wrong. What we got from our sources was wrong. It's probably worth talking about. Like, people might wonder why we've had no exclusives really to do with Star Wars for a while. I think there was, from what I've heard through the grapevine, there was a bit of a purge because the Obi-Wan leaks were so bad. I think the people that leaked them really did kind of put Lucasfilm on high alert, and there was a big purge of people. And I think the people who were our sources have all been scared and don't want to talk about things anymore. So we really weren't even able to go and get confirmation when rumours started coming out that it wasn't going to be Mena. We were really able to
radio
go
silence.
Could we double check that and then come back and let people know? So we just kind of had to say we're just going to have to wait and see now. But it was wrong. It does seem as if, from what Mena Masood said himself, that they were pushing kind of a little bit for that role themselves and their agents, and I wonder whether something's come into an office somewhere and it's been more them looking for rather, and people have picked up that and said, it's definitely going to be Mena, and ran with it. So it does kind of put into question whether Lars Mikkelsen will actually be Thrawn or not. I don't think we can say for certain because we can't clarify that with anyone.
Yeah.
Or we can
say online,
not heard any difference.
Online, there's been people that have said different, but then there's been people to come back and say they've still heard Lars.
Jordan Mason, who we've talked about with things before, and I know he's got genuine sources, Jordan, and he just got Esfandi right before the trades. In that report, he had said, because I remember discussing this with him, he had heard it wasn't Lars Mikkelsen, but most recently he heard it was. Do you know what I mean? That's the most recent thing he heard from a source, was that it was. So I don't know. We genuinely don't know. I think at the moment the fans want it to be Mikkelsen because he voiced the role in Rebels. But whether it is or not, I wouldn't like to put any money on it now and say, oh, we're confident about it. Now, how can we? When it was the exact same report that we got that was at the same time as Nina said, we can't. So we just have to wait and see, and eventually maybe our sources will start talking again once they're not scared. But for now, I think we'll just be covering other people's rumours and talking about our own opinions about it.
And we're not making fun of anyone for protecting their livelihood.
No, I mean, absolutely.
We're not saying scared as in scaredy cat. We're saying scared and legit.
If I worked for Lucasfilm, for example, you wouldn't get shit at me. I wouldn't even tell you something in private. You know, I just wouldn't do it because it's like your dream job. I just would not jeopardize
that.
No,
hell no. You know, don't trust me. No. Don't trust me. The only people I really trust are sitting in this house.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
My wife, myself.
I mean,
I can't even trust my son because he's a kid and he'll,
it's probably kind of worth talking. I mean, I don't necessarily blame the site that got this information because that's how that site makes money, and when they don't have any leaks, they don't really have any. Well, I don't know how much traffic they've got. It's none of my business. But I don't really see any reason to go and visit that site without that. So I kind of totally understand why they did what they did, but it was just too much. And what's interesting is the leaks were right enough that it was genuine, but not completely correct. And it makes me think that there was maybe an earlier version of the script that got out and they got a hold of that. I don't know. I mean, again, I'm just purely speculating. But I know for a fact that Lucasfilm did not like the amount of leaks that came out for Obi-Wan Kenobi and were not happy about it whatsoever. And the shit really did hit the fan. The after effect of that, I don't know because nobody's talking there. But I know that happened for sure.
Well, that site hasn't published anything since August 12th. Before that, July.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what they do. So if they don't have that information, there's nothing to post. It's purely dedicated to that, I feel like.
That's what I'm saying. It feels like some leaks have been plugged. That's what I'm...
I mean, possibly. We couldn't comment on anybody else because you don't know who other sources are and how.
Guessing here.
We'll wait and see the next time something comes up. But there has been... I mean, if you check somewhere like Reddit that does, aggregates all the possible leaks and rumours, there hasn't been much on Star Wars at all. And there's been far less in the last, considering how bad the Marvel leaks were. They've really clammed up in the last 3-4 weeks, I've noticed as well, since we've kind of got over a certain period.
Yep.
It's like there's less new information coming out now. So
that's what it feels like. Yeah. Well, Cam, I'm kind of Star Wars'd out, man. I think we covered all the big stuff from D23 and onward and upward to, or downward into the bowels of the Empire in Andor in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Hopefully Shaki will be able to join us for all of those. We shall see. You guys, the audience, can see more of your favorite podcasters here on the Genreverse Podcast Network's YouTube channel. In addition to the Cantina, we've got Marvel Multiverse Mayhem doing what this show does, but for Marvel. Then we've got Breaking Geek Radio, the podcast, long form, all things in entertainment. Usually have a movie or show to review for you guys every week. Anime Versal Reviews doing Classroom of the Elite Season 2 right now. And then October, AVR will be running back-to-back Saturday and Sunday episodes for Spy Family Season 1 Core 2 and Chainsaw Man. So we are super stoked about that. That has a companion series called AVR Squared where we react to the episodes. So check it out. We also have review of the rings right now. If you are watching the Rings of Power, Cam is helping guide us through that series, kind of bouncing off of established lore and reviewing the series as a normal review. So check that out. It's a lot of fun. All sorts of great content there, other trailer reactions and things. All the podcast non-reaction stuff goes up on your favorite podcast apps: Google, Spotify, Apple, SoundCloud, all of those. Not SoundCloud. SoundCloud's we're done distributing. Their own back catalog is there, but Sounder is the one that I wanted to mention, sounder.fm. So follow us, leave some reviews, especially if you listen on Apple. Give us some stars. The more the better, but let us know what we're doing right and wrong, and how we can make things better. All things available at lrmonline.com, including written reviews, written articles, news, leaks, rumors, occasionally celebrity interviews that also go up on the LRM YouTube channel. Sorry if I left one of the cameras on the studio up for too long while other people were talking. I'm not a developer. I can't code stuff myself. I gotta wait on someone else to fix these plugins. Cam, you got anything else you wanted to say?
No, not really. All good. All Star Wars, as you say.
All right, guys, it's been fun. We'll see you next time. May the Force be with you.